There is a saying that what we perceive is what we believe. And one of the most polarizing topics is our perception of police. So what happens when people of different backgrounds view the same video of a police interaction? Are our conclusions really that different? I sat down with 4 people in Seattle to find out. Former Pierce County criminal prosecutor and mother of 2, Sherry Lead, Jason Rance, a California transplant and radio talk show host, Dowdy Abe, a college instructor, author, and father, and Brian Post, a retired Linwood police officer now working in private security. We watched 3 videos, 2 involving Seattle police and 1 from Pasco.
The first one is from this past summer on Capitol Hill.
In this dashcam video, a Seattle officer stops 70-year-old William Wingate.
Can you put that down, please?
The officer claims the retired city bus driver swung a golf club at her as she was driving by a block away.
Can you please set it down?
Huh?
Can you please set it down?
What's going on?
Set it down, please.
I know what's going on.
Put it down.
This is my golf club.
I'm not going to take it from you, but it's a weapon.
Wingate does not put down his golf club. Instead, he asks for the officer to call her supervisor.
You know, watching this, I feel like I feel a pit in my stomach, because there's this reaction that this man that's sitting there on the corner, who, you know, apparently is obviously a senior citizen, he's older, appears to me, from watching what I saw, to be being harassed by this officer.
For me, I would say, hey, when the officer is yelling at you to do something, you should actually do it. Because as much as that guy has what could potentially be used as a weapon, even though I don't think it would ever be used that way, she's got a much more powerful weapon.
The tone of voice, the distance, the seeming lack of willingness to kind of really engage with this gentleman seemed to completely flavor the rest of the interaction.
Wingate was arrested. Later, Seattle police apologized for the incident, and the charges against him were dropped.
I don't know that I would have done it this way. In all honesty, I don't at this point understand exactly what was going through the officer's mind when the decision to arrest was. I know he was failing to comply with her commands. I just don't know what the reasoning behind the command, because I didn't see the swing.
Next up, the 2012 case of Leo Ethel II. In this dashcam video, police stop Ethel II after they suspect he's involved in a hit-and-run accident.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do then? Knock me out? Shoot me?
The situation quickly escalates.
What's your name? What's your name? Don't worry about my name. What's your name? Okay. Turn around, put your hand behind your back. Turn around. Man, don't put, I gotta put my... Enough. Enough. I'm not choking you. I'm getting your head away from me. Oh, here.
This one for me would be a harder call if the question is whether or not they used excessive force or not. They may have been reasonable. Even though I did have this reaction when I saw him get punched, you know, I had a reaction to that.
And why was that, you believe?
Why was
that instant reaction when you saw that?
I guess I didn't expect it. You know, there were 3 officers. I didn't expect him to hit him in the face. I wasn't surprised when he was holding him down.
The suspect was clearly resisting, but not to the point where I think it justified a punch when you've got 3 officers there, 2 of which are already holding the guy down.
Having to choke somebody and punch them when it's 3-on-1 may be a little bit over the top. Now, perhaps a veteran officer would tell me that that's kind of standard operating procedure and that's what you just do to make sure officers are safe. But, you know, when videos like this come up and are distributed for everybody to see, it just kind of, you know, reiterates what a lot of black people feel about interactions with police.
A takedown of a person is usually very, very quick. It looks very violent. And people need to understand that, and the problem is you can't send everybody to the police academy to be trained in what police are looking for. As a police officer, I was accused of racially profiling dozens and dozens of times. I can say I never racially profiled. You pulled people over who were doing something wrong that you had an articulable reason, a probable cause to make the stop. Whether they were black or white, should be notwithstanding. I'm not going to say that that's always the case, because clearly, especially in other parts of the country, that is not the case.
You know, whether or not you believe the police officers were in the right, or, you know, the other person was in the right, the fact that it's racially charged brings up all these, you know, emotions of every time you've ever come into contact, you know, with some type of racial incident. I think it brings up those feelings you've had in childhood when the first person, you know, time somebody called you out.
I do absolutely give a little bit more leeway to officers pending actual evidence that something happened that is clearly them in the wrong.
Psychologists say these reactions are not surprising. Life experiences are what shape how we view things. As head of the Public Safety Committee, Seattle City Councilman Bruce Harreld has watched almost all of the police dashcam videos brought into question.
Talk about for you the importance of being able to sit down and see an incident through a dashcam video.
Video evidence allows us to critique. It's not a panacea, but it allows us to see with objective evidence what actually occurs, and only there can we get the accountability we want.
But even when an incident is recorded, it's not always clear. Like in the case of Antonio Zambrano Montes in Pasco, Washington, a 28-second cell phone video uploaded to YouTube shows police shooting and killing Zambrano Montes in a crowded intersection. Authorities say they were responding to a call about him throwing rocks at cars in a grocery store parking lot. Police also say they tried unsuccessfully to tase him.
He's running away from them. He turns, he's facing them. It appears when the shots are fired, but he appears to have his hands up.
For me, it's just kind of more of the same. And it strikes me that maybe people who kind of sit on the opposite end of this philosophical spectrum kind of look at it and say it's just more of the same, more kind of uncooperative people who know that if you don't cooperate with the police, this kind of thing can happen. But if you're a paid public civil servant, in my opinion, you have a little bit more obligation to the public to not have shooting somebody as the default setting for how you deal with a situation that you may not know how to deal with.
Some people will look at it and have looked at it, and they see him holding something in his hand when he turns around. There are others who look at this video and see a man attempting to hold his hands up.
He clearly had something, I think, in his hands. And it doesn't surprise me that people don't see that, because you also, I think, and I mean you people who are videoing this, they see that through the lens of their own experience.